All right, so today we're diving deep into the world of acquisitions. But not just any acquisitions.
hmm
We're talking about the kind that reshapes companies.
Yeah, the ones that redefine them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those game-changing moves they call transformative acquisitions.
These are the big leagues.
And we're going to figure out what makes them tick, go beyond just the basic definition.
Get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, the real why, how, and what it actually means for companies when they pull off one of these massive deals.
Absolutely.
So to guide us through this, we've got this really insightful excerpt. I'm just going to call it the M&A playbook for simplicity's sake.
Catchy title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps it straightforward.
Straightforward.
And it really lays it all out, the good, the bad, the potential pitfalls.
It does. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff because, we're talking about these deals that are not just about, a company getting a little bit bigger.
Right.
This is about fundamental change. This is about like a whole new direction for a company.
So let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we even define transformative when it comes to these acquisitions?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, we hear mergers and acquisitions all the time.
Right.
It's got to be more than just, scooping up a competitor or, adding a little bit of market share.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's less about buying and it's more about like metamorphosis.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So, a company makes a transformative acquisition, they come out the other side, they're not the same company anymore.
Right. It's not just like adding a building onto their headquarters.
Exactly. It's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly situation.
Whoa. Okay, I like that analogy.
So maybe it's this massive leap in scale, right? Suddenly they're bursting onto the global stage they could never reach on their own. Or maybe it's about acquiring a specific technology that's like the key, that unlocks a whole new industry for them or even reshapes an existing industry. It's that level of impact that we're talking about here.
So the M&A playbook, it lays out 7 key benefits,
Yeah.
when companies successfully pull off these transformations. But rather than just, reading off a list,
Right.
I think it'd be fun to kind of dig into each one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really, bring them to life.
Get some real world flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start? Which one kind of jumps out at you as like the most impactful or maybe the most common?
Well, they're all interconnected, right? Like they all kind of feed into each other.
Yeah.
But I think a good place to start is with scale and expansion.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's often the most visible part of these deals.
All right. I like the headline grabbing stuff.
Exactly. So imagine you've got, a regional beverage company, right? They're doing pretty well in their corner of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But suddenly they acquire a major international distributor.
Oh, boom.
Things just change.
They're no longer limited by geography.
Right. Their potential market explodes overnight.
Like that.
It's like they went from, playing in the minors to suddenly being in the World Series.
I like it.
Yeah,
so it's like instant global reach.
Instant global reach.
Okay, so that's a pretty clear example of scale and expansion.
Absolutely.
Now, the playbook, it also talks about diversification.
Yeah, diversification.
Spreading the risk, don't put all your eggs in one basket, that whole idea.
Classic investing advice.
Yeah, but how does that actually play out in a transformative acquisition? Because I can see how it's good for like, personal finances and stuff.
Yeah.
But how does it apply to, these massive companies?
So think of it as building resilience, right?
Okay.
So let's say you've got a tech company. They're heavily reliant on hardware sales.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But through a transformative acquisition, they pick up a software firm that's got a really strong subscription model.
Whoa.
Right? Now, all of a sudden, they're less vulnerable to economic downturns because they've got these diverse revenue streams.
They're
Right?
not putting all their chips on one.
Exactly. And it makes them more adaptable to changes in the market.
Okay, so it's like a safety net almost.
Kind of, yeah, like a buffer against uncertainty.
Okay, diversification. Got it. And, actually that reminds me of like, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
What happened to like some of those companies that were overly reliant on physical media when streaming took over?
Oh, yeah.
Like the video rental places,
Yeah.
the CD manufacturer.
Absolutely. Those are prime examples
Yeah.
of what happens when you're not diversified.
Right.
And transformative acquisitions, they could have been a solution for some of those companies.
Right. They could have maybe acquired a streaming platform early on or something.
Exactly. Or partnered with, a tech company that was developing those technologies.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
stay ahead of the curve.
So diversification, it's about more than just, spreading the risk. It's about adapting to the future.
Yeah, being prepared for whatever comes next.
All right, so we've talked about scale, expansion, diversification.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one in this playbook that always kind of gets me intrigued, and that's synergy potential.
Oh, synergy potential.
It's not just about adding things together, right?
Right.
It's like this 1 + 1 = 3 or even more kind of magic.
It's where the real potential lies. Yeah.
Yeah, and how do these synergies actually work?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
So sometimes it's about obvious cost savings, right?
Okay,
Streamlining operations when you merge two entities.
makes sense.
But the really exciting part is what they call revenue synergies.
Oh, revenue synergy.
These are the unexpected, new revenue streams that emerge because of the combination.
So it's like something that neither company could have achieved on their own.
Exactly.
So do you have like a real world example of that?
Oh, yeah, a classic example. Disney acquiring Pixar.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
So beyond any cost and savings, right? Their combined creative power, it spawned entirely new franchises, new revenue streams that nobody even predicted.
So it's like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. That's synergy.
Right, synergy.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. So let's move on to another one from the playbook. Innovation and capabilities. What are we talking about there? Because it sounds to me like it's not just about buying a cool product.
It's not. It's about absorbing the secret sauce.
Oh, the secret sauce.
Right. The knowledge, the expertise that went into creating it. So it's about gaining a competitive edge that's hard to replicate.
Okay.
So sometimes that secret sauce, it's a groundbreaking technology. Right. Or a portfolio of patents.
Yeah.
Other times it's about acquiring the talent, the brilliant minds behind the innovation.
So you're saying it's as much about the people as it is about the actual product or technology.
Absolutely. And you could try to replicate a successful product, right?
Yep.
But having the team that built it in the first place,
Right.
that's a game changer.
Yeah, because they know all the ins and outs.
They know the pitfalls.
Yeah.
They know the shortcuts.
Okay, so human capital, that's a big factor in these deals.
Huge.
Huge. All right. One more from the list that I want to touch on before we move on, and that's new customers and channels.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Because it's almost like you're getting a VIP pass
It is.
to a whole new market.
It's a shortcut to expansion,
Right.
especially in a globalized marketplace.
Okay. And how does that tie into everything else we've talked about? The scale, the synergies.
So it kind of loops back to scale, right?
Okay.
Imagine you've got a small, really innovative company. They're developing some amazing medical, really cutting edge stuff. But they're small. They're limited in their reach.
Yeah.
They get acquired by a multinational company that has this established global distribution network.
Oh.
Suddenly, their reach expands exponentially.
Ooh, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're treating patients worldwide. They're impacting more lives.
That's a powerful example.
It is, yeah. And it shows you the power of these new customers and channels.
Okay. So it's like they're leveraging the existing infrastructure of the bigger company.
Exactly. They're plugging into this pre-built network.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
All right. So last but not least on this list from the M&A playbook, we've got competitive advantage.
The ultimate goal.
So we're not just talking about being bigger.
Right. It's about being better positioned.
Right. So it's like building a moat around your business,
Exactly.
making it harder for competitors to catch up.
Hard to copy,
Yeah.
hard to compete with.
Okay. So how do you actually achieve that, through a transformative acquisition?
So it can be achieved through sheer size, right?
Okay.
Like think of Amazon's dominance in e-commerce.
Yeah. It's hard to compete with that.
Hard to compete with that scale, right?
Right.
But it can also be through unique offerings that you derive from acquisitions.
Oh.
Like Facebook acquiring Instagram, they neutralized a potential competitor.
Right.
While adding a platform that was perfectly suited for visual content and a younger demographic.
So they were kind of killing two birds with one stone.
Exactly. That's strategic thinking.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm getting the peak.
Yeah.
These transformative acquisitions, they can be pretty powerful.
They can.
They can redefine companies, lead to massive growth diversification, serious competitive edge.
Yeah.
But hold on a second. Before we get too carried away with all this transformative talk,
Right.
let's not forget the flip side.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be risk involved.
Well, of course.
It can't all be smooth sailing.
There's always a risk.
So what are some of the potential pitfalls what can go wrong with these deals?
Well, these deals are incredibly complex,
Yeah.
right? There's a high degree of risk involved. And one of the biggest hurdles is integration.
Integration.
Right. You're merging corporate cultures, systems, processes. It can be a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Right. You've got different ways of doing things, different values. Sometimes it just doesn't mesh.
Right.
And then you've got cultural clashes, which can lead to key talent leaving.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, you lose the people who made the company successful in the first place. And then sometimes even with the best due diligence, the anticipated synergies just don't materialize. Things don't work out the way you planned.
So it's not a guaranteed slam dunk.
Definitely not, no.
All right, well, speaking of due diligence, you know, the playbook, it really emphasizes careful planning, you know, before diving into one of these deals.
Absolutely.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
So due diligence, it's like an in-depth investigation.
Okay.
You're thoroughly examining the target company, their financials, their technology, their culture, everything.
So you're really doing your homework.
You're doing your homework. You're looking under the hood. You're kicking the tires.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to identify potential risks and red flags before you commit.
Before you sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, and even then there are always unforeseen challenges. It's like, remember the AOL Time Warner merger back in the dot-com boom?
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
On paper, it looked like a match made in heaven.
It did.
But in reality, it became a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Of how integration challenges and cultural clashes can derail even the most ambitious mergers. So sometimes it just doesn't work out no matter how good it looks on paper.
Yeah, sometimes the chemistry's just not there.
Right.
No matter how much you plan.
Okay, so I think what I'm taking away from all of this is that, you know, these transformative acquisitions, they can be incredibly powerful. They can redefine companies, lead to massive growth diversification.
Absolutely.
You know, a serious competitive edge.
For sure.
But they're not without their risks.
Right.
Integration can be messy.
It can be.
Cultures can clash.
Yeah.
And sometimes the whole thing just flops.
It happens. So it sounds like the key takeaway here is recognizing the potential for transformation.
Exactly.
Before it even happens.
Yeah, because that potential isn't always obvious.
Right.
It takes a deep understanding of markets, industries, and emerging trends to spot those acquisitions that could truly reshape the landscape.
So you're saying it takes a certain kind of expertise, a certain vision to see those opportunities.
It does, yeah. It's about seeing the bigger picture, anticipating how the pieces might fit together to create something entirely new.
So it's not just about crunching numbers.
No.
It's about understanding the bigger forces at play.
Exactly. It's about having that strategic foresight.
So that's what separates the visionaries from the rest, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
Something to think about.
For sure. Something to think about.
You know, next time we see a big merger announced in the headlines.
Absolutely. Is this just a deal or is this something more?
Right. Could this be the start of a transformation?
That's the question.
That's the question. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. You know, thanks to the M&A playbook for giving us this roadmap.
Great resource.
Yeah, and thanks to you for helping us break it all down.
Happy to do it.
But I think we'll leave it there for now.
Okay.
You know, let our listeners digest all this information and maybe start spotting those potential transformations in the wild.
Yeah, go out there and be visionaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So until next time, happy deal making, everyone.
Or deal breaking.
Or deal breaking.
Yeah.
That's true. Sometimes you got to know when to walk away.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye. Bye.